Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Just as Luo Feng was putting his universe structure in place, within the vast universe ocean, Sector Beast Morosa was advancing at high speed. Loathsome. The two heads of Sector Beast Morosa looked ferocious. They all knew my power is greatly reduced. Even those fools whom I have always looked down upon previously are all charging toward me now. Now, I don't even have a space to survive in within the Sector Beast's nest. If not for them, given my power, it would not be difficult at all for me to make my way back to the third stage. Anger. Although Morosa had madly devoured an entire Sector Beast to climb its way up to the second stage, that Sector Beast had transmitted the news about Morosa's greatly reduced power before it was annihilated. This had reduced Sector Beast Morosa to the state of a rat scampering across the street, with everyone chasing after him, trying to attack him. When Morosa had stood at the peak, instinctively, it had wanted to kill the other Sector Beasts too. Now that it was weak, it was natural for the other Sector Beasts to want to reciprocate with revenge. I can only return to Universe Ocean. Sector Beast Morosa shook its head. Since I no longer have a place in the nest, then before I meet my end, I shall let that Milky Way Horde leader Luo Feng know the consequences of messing with me. Morosa was not fully confident that it could take revenge on Luo Feng. However, it did not have a choice. The burning desire to destroy ran in its blood. It was the source of its courage to bring destruction upon itself by taking revenge on Luo Feng. Even if it could not kill Luo Feng, it would still attempt to draw out the repulsive feelings toward Luo Feng. And finally, it would transmit all the information it had back to the Land of Darkness and cause Luo Feng to fall into a truly massive calamity. Sector Beast Morosa executed a series of long-distance teleportations, and very soon, it arrived at the peripheral region of a miniature universe. Roar. The black fog reappeared in a winding manner around Morosa while streams of distorted light rays extended out directly toward the miniature universe. It did not devour but merely maintained this state. A short while later, a ship appeared out of nowhere, and a figure flew out from within it. This figure was none other than the majestic and burly nine-headed Demon Master. Nine-headed Demon Master took one look at Sector Beast Morosa and could not help feel a pinch of regret. He was a true god that had always stayed low-key and showed forbearance to all its wrath and frustrations. After he had learned that the world of Jin had appeared, he had gradually started to reveal his power. He was, in fact, ranked as one of the 8 heroes of Universe Ocean. Even before Hong and I Devil God, he had already sent some of the Universe Masters under his command over to the Sector Beast's nest to explore. Every time he sent an exploration team, someone was bound to be annihilated. However, he usually sent out energy life forms, so at least there would not be souls being exterminated. It was through these explorations that Nine-Headed Demon Master had gotten to know what a terrifying quantity of Sector Beasts were within the nests. His underlings had found out about merely a portion of them, yet that many Sector Beasts was enough to completely fill up a substantial amount of land. The number had sent shivers down his spine. He was still filled with anticipation. Even though the Sector Beasts were not considered to be very powerful at the moment, one was enough to bring the races within all of Universe Ocean to the brink of collapse. Finally, Nine-Headed Demon Master had secretly contacted Sector Beast Morosa, and he had decided to pledge allegiance to the Sector Beast. Just like how Great Thunder Star Master, Dragon Rock Ancestral God, and Jinjiao Emperor. However, the moment Nine-Headed Demon Master changed sides, he had greatly regretted his decision. Changing sides meant becoming an obedient servant that only listened and acted according to the wishes of the Sector Beasts. Furthermore, he had a hunch that more trouble was brewing. In the future, when the king of Sector Beasts was born, those who had defected would face tragedy all the same. He felt deep remorse, but it was too late for regret. My original intention was to keep myself safe during this crisis by taking the side of the Sector Beasts, Nine-Headed Demon Master said to himself. I am from the second reincarnation era, and I have the inheritance of the ancient civilization from the world of Jin. With all these, it is totally possible for me to transcend reincarnation during the final period of the third reincarnation era. I never expected such an outcome for pledging allegiance to the sector beasts. Loathsome willpower of the origin. It should have mentioned this earlier. Nine-headed Demon Master was regretful and angry. Thanks to Nine-headed Demon Master's role as a traitor, Sector Beast Morosa had been able to evade the area where Luofeng had hidden in order to ambush him. Nine-headed Demon Master, Morosa said, staring. My great king. Nine-headed Demon Master responded respectfully. The moment he had changed sides, he had begun to address any sector beasts he met as king. Morosa nodded. Tell me. During this period, what is happening within Universe Ocean? What is Milky Way Horde leader Luofeng up to nowadays? Nine-headed Demon Master replied right away, My great king, it is relatively peaceful in Universe Ocean. It's just that Milky Way Horde leader has now become a true god. He became a true god. Morosa was greatly taken aback. Previously, when Luofeng was still a Universe Master, he had been able to bring Morosa down from the 3rd grade to the 1st grade. Morosa had only just managed to make it back to 2nd grade, and Luofeng was already a true god. If they were to cross paths again, the outcome was a given. Morosa would be the one being trampled upon. So fast. Morosa said in shock. Not fast. Nine-headed Demon Master shook its head. Milky Way Horde leader is our universe's #1 master. Given his impressive talent, it is considered slow that it took him a trillion eras to finally break through. Besides, his disciple long ago became a true god. Also, I have to inform my king, during the time when Milky Way Horde leader broke through, Nine-headed Demon Master related everything he knew, including the billions of races within the primal universe going down on their knees to bow to Luofeng, and Luofeng's miniature universe with a diameter of 100 light-years. Everything it knew, it related without leaving out a single detail. The more Morosa learned, the more twisted his expression became. Milky Way Horde leader's miniature universe has just entered Universe Ocean, Nine-headed Demon Master informed Morosa. At this point, he ought to be laying the structure of his miniature universe. Even if his miniature universe has finalized its form, there is still the evolution of chaos. All these steps require time to complete, and since his miniature universe is so big, I suspect the time that is required will be much longer than most true gods. He might be stuck in there for a month or two. Sector Beast Morosa was delighted to hear this. Stuck in there. Joyfully, Morosa thought, true. After becoming a true god, this Luofeng will have no other bodies. Only his original body. Then he will not be so daring as to patrol about Universe Ocean. He has to protect his miniature universe as well as his human race. However, there is also the possibility that he will risk coming out to patrol anyway. After all, with so many true gods in his Hong Alliance, if such a group were to take action together, they would still be able to stop me. Endless thoughts went through Morosa's mind. Then it grinned. No matter what, at least for the coming 2 months. Luofeng was not able to come out. Ha ha ha, Morosa laughed heartily. Nine-headed, you did well, he praised. Nine-headed Demon Master bowed his head to indicate his allegiance. Morosa roared with laughter, then teleported away. Nine-headed Demon Master raised his heads, but all 9 of them registered awful expressions. One wrong step, and all the following steps were wrong, too. There was no longer any chance to look back and reconsider his decision. Within Luofeng's miniature universe. 100,000 heavens. The entire miniature universe had 100,000 planes. They were of different sizes, and there were also differences in structure. Indistinctly, there was contact across every one of these planes within the space. Just like a whirlpool, the chaotic airflow encircled the peripheral region of the planes. 100,000 heavens were all revolving. And internally, everything was pushing toward completion. At the same time, in the chaotic environment within the universe origin, 100,000 planets started to revolve. These 100,000 planets corresponded to 100,000 heavens. It was as if the structure of the miniature universe was undergoing a process of miniaturization within the space of the origin. Yet Luofeng knew that it was, in fact, the space of the origin guiding everything happening on the outside world. After a while, Luofeng's eyes shone brightly. 100,000 heavens is successfully completed, he said. Now, I must begin the most important step. Beginning of the origin. Luo Feng's willpower enshrouded his entire miniature universe. Instantly, 100,000 planes within space started to revolve violently. Every plane was indistinctly maintaining contact with one another. Such contact was unable to be detected by the naked eye. However, within the universe origin, the 100,000 planets that corresponded to 100,000 heavens were bursting with streams of golden light. These rays of light were connecting to form a massive network of incomparable precision, like a super complex in the Rhinoceros Emperor game. Form. Luo Feng's willpower let out a ferocious roar. 100,000 planets within the universe origin suddenly unleashed a dazzling light. The complex Rhinoceros Emperor game that was formed by the countless golden light rays was also bursting with energy. Within the entire core, a mass of nothingness was formed. An earth-shattering sound was heard, and the 100,000 planes were still revolving. The whirlpool they created was expanded upon their continuous bombardment against one another. These planes seemed to be randomly scattered about, but once they all started to revolve, once every single plane started to rotate at the same time, it was like Earth revolving around the Sun. The 100,000 planes within the surfaces also started revolving around the core. It was too difficult. It was like pulling and grinding. The beginning pull was always the most difficult. All 100,000 planes within the surfaces surrounded the central core. And the moment they started to revolve, Luo Feng's willpower felt as though it was about to crumble and collapse. At long last, everything seemed to be revolving. Then the speed of revolution gradually increased. Steadily, some of the planes started to collide with one another. The more delicate ones immediately started to show signs of cracks. One of the planes collapsed right away. Luo Feng remained expressionless. He continued to keep everything under control. I say, form. Luo Feng's willpower roared once again. The miniature universe let out another rumble that was so loud that it could be heard even from the outside. Luo Feng's universe origin also let out the same rumble. Then what could be seen was the central position of almost 100,000 planes within spaces. A whirlpool that was in continuous revolution had appeared. It was like a bottomless black hole of whirlpools. Right in the center of the whirlpools was the universe origin. At that moment, close to the center of these 100,000 planets that were within the universe origin, a void whirlpool appeared. Done. Luo Feng could not conceal his delight. Everything returned to peace and quiet. With the void whirlpool as the center, close to 100,000 planes were led into continuous revolution. While they were revolving, a new plane unexpectedly emerged. Thereafter, planes started emerging successively. In a fleeting moment, 100,000 planes were recovered. Likewise, within the universe origin, 100,000 planets were recovered. Luo Feng's face reflected his joy. The beginning of the origin is formed. Everything will have the origin. The birth of everything and anything on Earth is now endless and limitless. The void space formed by 100,000 heavens was none other than the origin. With this origin, his miniature universe could be given endless possibilities. Even if all 100,000 planes within space were shattered, they still had the chance of rebirth. Beginning of the origin, Luo Feng looked within his own universe origin and saw 100,000 bright, dazzling planets encircling the central void as they revolved around it. This central void was the ultimate core of the entire universe origin. This origin was where everything began. Within the void space, loud gurgling sounds were soon heard. Then, like a fountain spraying water, a tremendous amount of godly ocean water gushed out. And outside Luo Feng's miniature universe, the tremendous amount of chaotic airflow was being absorbed like mad. The endless chaotic airflow started to wind and revolve around Luo Feng's miniature universe, forming a massive whirlpool. Every moment, a tremendous amount of chaotic airflow was being swallowed and transformed into godly power. All miniature universes possessed the ability to transform godly powers, yet for Luo Feng, his beginning of the origin structure had enhanced this ability of transformation up to a level that was incredible beyond words. A lone figure appeared out of nowhere. It was none other than Morosa. At that moment, Morosa was in its original form. Its ugly two heads looked afar at the indistinct silhouette of a miniature universe, while the two single eyes, one on each head, flashed with greed. Finally, I am here again. So long as I swallow one miniature universe origin, I can be elevated to the second stage pinnacle. An evil black aura spread and filled the surroundings as streams of distorted rays of light rapidly penetrated the void space for a distance up to 100 million light-years. Continuous streams of dazzling brilliance traveled along those distorted rays and headed right into Morosa's body. How comfortable! Morosa's two heads were raised in great satisfaction. Shock Devil God was entrenched somewhere along the rolling mountain range, where its tail was wrapped around the foothills of the mountains and its head entwined around the mountain peaks. Suddenly, its eyes shot open with such ferocity that they resembled two massive, blazing stars. Sector Beast. Shock Devil God revealed a hint of fear. The Sector Beast is finally here again. After disappearing for so long, it has finally reappeared. His fiery red eyes were filled with worry. The last time it appeared, it managed to escape after being severely injured by Milky Way Horde leader. I'm afraid the situation won't be so simple this time. Shock Devil God was fearful and anxious. It was not confident about confronting the Sector Beast. The first opponent Morosa would choose among the true gods would definitely be one of the weaker powers. Divine Eye True Master, Nine-Headed Demon Master, Primal Chaos City Leader, Nine Remoteness True Master, Shock Demon Master started to transmit the news. The Sector Beast has appeared right outside my miniature universe. It is now devouring the origin of my miniature universe. The Sector Beast had reappeared. The news was like a storm that spread very rapidly among all the races within the entire universe ocean, not including the two races headed by Jinjur Emperor and Dragon Rock Ancestral God. In the virtual universe, there was a beautiful godly palace suspended in one of the individual spaces. At the highest level of this godly palace, there were two thrones. Beside the two thrones, as many as 100 other thrones were arranged according to rank. This place was True God Palace. Presently, the humans were held in great esteem throughout the entire primal universe, especially in the face of a Sector Beast crisis. Occasionally, some True Gods meetings would be held at this True God Palace, where everyone would be gathered. The two thrones at the highest position belonged to two of the 8 heroes, Milky Way Horde Leader, Luo Feng, and Primal Chaos City Leader. Even 9 Remoteness True Master had to sit one level down. This showed the current status of the humans. Many figures were appearing successively, filling up those vacant thrones. At the top, garbed in a golden robe, was Primal Chaos City Leader. Right away, he took his seat and looked down at the crowd. Primal Chaos City Leader. Golden Horn True God from Space Beast Alliance wasted no time in speaking up. Shock Devil God's miniature universe is being devoured by the Sector Beast again. That Sector Beast has returned. As Golden Horn True God's original body was also a golden horned beast, throughout the entire Space Beast Alliance, it shared the closest relationship with Luo Feng. Therefore, Golden Horn True God was usually the main point of contact between the Space Beast Alliance and the humans. Primal Chaos City Leader, Sector Beast is back here. It seems we are in a tricky situation. To deal with the Sector Beast, there's only Milky Way Horde Leader. But is everything going well for Milky Way Horde Leader? Some of the true gods from other races spoke up. The true gods from the human race, on the other hand, kept mum. From his seat in the highest throne, Primal Chaos City Leader looked down at the floor and said with indifference, Milky Way Horde Leader is going through the most crucial moment in becoming a true god. His power is greatly increased, and this concerns the fate of all the races in Universe Ocean. Before Milky Way Horde Leader's miniature universe is formed, no one is allowed to bother him. A voice was heard from the floor. The Sector Beast. Primal Chaos City Leader responded flatly, as for the Sector Beast at Shock Devil God's miniature universe, we shall let the respective True God troops settle the problem. Instantly, no one had any different opinions to raise. After all, everyone present was from the primal universe. If the Sector Beast had the intention to devour any miniature universes, it would target those from the first and second reincarnation eras. Those from the primal universe were naturally not worried. The degree to which Luo Feng's power increased had a direct impact on their fate, so undoubtedly, no one would wish to disturb and affect him. Outside Luo Feng's miniature universe. Instantly, the primal universe sent out a great many universe masters and a handful of true gods to encircle and patrol the area surrounding Luo Feng's miniature universe. This was to prohibit any great beings from the first reincarnation era and second reincarnation era from attacking Luo Feng's miniature universe, which would disrupt Luo Feng. Everyone, take your leave. The increase in Milky Way Horde leader's power directly affects the fate of every race within Universe Ocean. No one is allowed to disturb him. Leave. In the face of the more powerful races of the primal universe, those from the first and second reincarnation eras naturally would not dare to raise any objections. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Time passed, day after day. This time around, the sector beast maintained a continuous record of devouring. It was unlike before when it merely ate for a day and disappeared afterward. When the origin of Shock Devil God's miniature universe was almost devoured by half, a troop of 12 true gods showed up. The moment this troop of true gods appeared, Morosa immediately executed the technique of disassembling his body and made a speedy escape. Merely half a day after the escape, Morosa showed up outside another miniature universe and started devouring again. 1 miniature universe, 2 miniature universes, 3 miniature universes, 6 miniature universes. Morosa had no intentions of battling any of them. Every time it encountered a troop of true gods, it took off immediately. Even though it was only a second stage sector beast now, if it wanted to escape, there was no one other than Luo Feng and 9 Remoteness True Master who could have stopped it from escaping. Primal Chaos City Leader, this is already the 6th miniature universe. In just 1 short month. If we condone all of its devouring, the origins of our miniature universes will eventually be greatly weakened. Even if we do manage to evade the sector beast crisis, given how weak our miniature universes have become, we will not be able to further rise up to the level of true gods of void space. Milky Way Horde leader should be doing fine, we hope. If this goes on, those of us from the first and second reincarnation eras will find ourselves in a hopeless situation. Several overlords, including Divine Eye True Master, 9-headed Demon Master, and Juhi True God were all communicating with Primal Chaos City Leader via their transmission tokens. Like Divine Eye True Master, they might have had strong powers, but if the sector beast was bent on escaping, none of them would be able to stop it. Enough, Primal Chaos City Leader responded indifferently. Everyone, remember. Not to mention devouring only part of your miniature universes, even if it were to finish off a few miniature universes, or to the extent of a few true gods being annihilated, bothering Luo Feng is absolutely not allowed. Anyone who dares do otherwise will be an enemy of us humans. The moment he set the ultimatum, the numerous true gods from the first and second reincarnation eras were instantly left with no choice but to hold their peace. Luo Feng was completely oblivious to the chaos within Universe Ocean. In his miniature universe, Luo Feng was working on the evolution of chaos. The lofty law of chaos was starting to undergo a gradual transformation. It was transforming into the 10 major basic laws, including time, space, gold, wood, water, fire, earth, thunder, light, and wind. Throughout the process of change, there were also various fusion laws involved, for instance, golden space law, and time and wind law. However, these fusion laws were all concealed within the law of operation of the origin of the miniature universe the moment they appeared. The law of operation of the origin of the miniature universe was based on the 10 major laws. The law of operation of the origin of the miniature universe would conceal every complex law. Only the law of chaos was exempt because all of these were possible because of the evolution of the supreme law of chaos. The evolution of chaos can only be witnessed once in a lifetime. That is when one becomes a true god. There will be no such opportunity in the future. Luo Feng could not afford to be a tad inattentive because, in the future, the exaltation of his miniature universe would only be in numerous transitive increases. The law of chaos would no longer be visible at all. Being able to control the chaos, in the eyes of the ancient civilization, would make one worthy of being called a saint. The law was constantly changing. Starting out from the law of chaos alone to the point where all the other laws, with the exception of the law of chaos, were mixed together, Luo Feng carried out the transformation of the law of his universe origin. This transformation process was none other than the internal evolution of Luo Feng's universe. Naturally, Luo Feng felt overwhelmed. He had completely immersed himself in the process, and far away in the universe boat, by the black-striped stone pillar, the other body sustained by his godly power was also rapidly brooding and comprehending in an environment where time was accelerated by 10 million times. Luo Feng's comprehension was skyrocketing at an unbelievable speed. The speed at which it was soaring was simply astonishing. When crossing the threshold from a universe master to a true god, the moment the fastest increase in level attained could be seen was this very moment, when he managed to complete comprehending the evolution of chaos. Similar to how many true gods could spend just 1 to 2 reincarnation eras comprehending, the time they took was not comparable to this short period the evolution of chaos required. Before they could become true gods, most universe masters would likely only be 5th-tier universe masters. Yet, upon becoming true gods, their level of secret techniques could quickly increase to the 6th tier as the top, or even up to the 7th or 8th tier. Before the appearance of the world of Jinn, before there had been the inheritance of the ancient civilization, the most powerful outburst of combat power possible was only at the 9th tier. This was true even for the deceased Huge Axe and Divine Eye True Master when relying on their supreme true treasures. This showed that, at that time, the secret techniques they had created were only at the level of the 8th tier as the top, which was already the top-tier standard of the true gods of Universe Ocean at that time. Those who almost reached the level of true gods would likely only be able to create secret techniques at the 7th tier. As for Luo Feng, he was only a universe master, yet he could compel himself into creating 2 sets of secret techniques that were at the 8th tier level. How abundant a supply he must have accumulated. At the moment, it like an incomparably dry desert that was absorbing water like mad. During the process of evolution of chaos, all enlightenment gained via comprehension was rapidly being transformed, and the avatar sustained by his godly power was comprehending while memorizing everything as fast as it could. The levels attained continued to soar, from the 8th tier as the top to the 9th tier as the top. Luo Feng did not comprehend any secret technique intentionally, but at that moment, the level he had attained could allow him to create a secret technique at the 10th tier level without much effort. The only catch was that there was only one chance for the evolution of chaos. The moment it was lost, there would not be a second chance. Phew. After a long while, Luo Feng finally let out a long sigh of relief. One of his eyes indistinctly reflected an endless whirlpool that devoured and swallowed as though the destruction of the universe was its purpose, while the other eye reflected a dazzling, golden light as though the creation of the universe was its purpose. He shut his eyes, and the next time he blinked, all these bizarre sights vanished. Evolution of chaos. How very magical indeed, Luo Feng mused. What a pity it can only happen once. Everything is now in place. Evolution is completed, and the laws of operation of my universe are also established. Luo Feng took a single step and emerged from his universe origin to enter into the vast miniature universe. The law of operation was established. And so, the endless chaotic airflow within his miniature universe started to transform into gold, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, lighting, light, space, time, and various other forms of energy. Within his miniature universe, there were also emerging continents and rivers. It was the birth of everything. This was the initial stage of evolution of the entire miniature universe after its birth, which could be considered to be in its primal state. Even if this had been an evolution of the primal universe, it would also have to undergo the few mandatory stages of an entire cycle, namely, the stages of birth, reaching the primal state, flourishing with prosperity, entering the stage of decline, and finally, meeting destruction. The time spent on an entire primal stage was so long that it needed to be counted in units of 100 million eras. It was just like the evolution of Teacher Origin's primal universe. When Teacher Origin had provoked the willpower of the primal universe Origin, the evolution of his primal universe had yet to be completed. This proved that the amount of time taken up by the primal stage of the evolution of a miniature universe was extremely lengthy. The law of operation has been established, Luo Feng commented to himself. Now everything is in place for any future evolution of the universe. It's time to head back. With one stride, Luo Feng exited his own miniature universe. This video will end here.